for the decorations of the courthouse and the Christmas tree thereof downtown. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate the road department and Kim Quinton that has done that over the years, ever since I've been here since 2004, 2005. And the tree that's there was actually bought in 2007. To give everybody a heads up on that, those trees are an outdoor tree. They're a specialty item. They're $1,000 a foot, so it's an 18-foot tree, which means it was $18,000, but it was purchased in 2007. And Kim Quinton and the road department have done a great job keeping that tree together without tearing it all to pieces over the years, as well as the manger, the sled that they've refinished a time or two, and he put some new deers out there and all that. But anyway, I know Christmas is right around the corner, and I haven't had time to really tell the public what I thought about what we've done, or what the road department has done there, and I do appreciate what they've done for the courthouse in those areas there. And hopefully we can expand to it in the future, as hopefully plans for downtown Jasper goes through this next year. But I just wanted to bring that out before we get started. Ms. Becky or Mr. Jerry, you got anything you'd like to say before we get cranked up and going?
Just Merry Christmas.
Yep. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is right now 5:30. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And at this time, I'm going to ask, I'm sure it's the Golden Rule Youth Group. Yeah. If you would, please, I'm going to let you do the invocation, and then I'm going to let you also do the Pledge of Allegiance while you're up, please. Thank you.
All right, good evening. Thank you for inviting me to your meeting tonight. My name is Faith Ament, and I'm one of the delegates for the National Day of Prayer, Golden Rule Youth and Young Adult Leadership. Our intent is to reach students with the gospel of Jesus, equip them to be strong Christian leaders, and send them to impact their communities, churches, and schools through prayer and their voice. With me tonight I have Terry Carvunas, the chairperson for our group. She's done such a great job in getting all of this together. And I'd like to ask you to join me in prayer as we bow our heads. Almighty God, thank you for letting us gather here today in your name, Lord. We pray for these dignitaries as they make decisions not for them, but for their people, and that they carefully consider you, Lord, at the center of their decisions. For it is written, for lack of guidance a nation falls, but victory is won through many advisors. God, we ask that you lay your hands on them in this hour for many years to come. Lord, we pray for our young men and women in this area, that they may know you as Lord over everything. We pray that if they do not know you, that you take the scales off their eyes and let them see the truth that you came to die for our redemption. God, in all of this we thank you for all that you have done and all you will do for the people in this room and the people of your world. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir your hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision. May your vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. And Lord, we ask all this in your glorious name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
All right, will you turn the flag and say the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. All right, that brings us.
Merry Christmas to each of you. Merry Christmas, and anything for you.
All right, that brings us down to item number 3, amendments to the agenda. Miss Lisa, do we have any amendments to the agenda? No amendments to the agenda. At this time, I'd like to ask for an approval of the agenda on item 4.
Second.
Have a move and a second for approval of the agenda. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye. Aye. None opposed? Thank you. That has the amendment has been approved. All right, item number 5 is the employee recognition. And at this time, I'm going to turn over to Ms. Denny.
Thank you, Mr. Jones. It is my privilege to honor our wonderful employees with a Years of Service Award, and we have a big one tonight. We have Melinda K. Walker, 10 years of service in the Department of Public Defender. And we need to get a picture. You'll sit over. Just in the middle, in front of the seal.
Makes a better target.
Yes, sir. It does.
Sorry.
Thank you very much.
Before you run
Congratulations.
away, could I ask you to take a picture with Miss Faith? Just so she,
yes.
oh, we'd be so appreciative. Okay, let me,
No?
please, just one more, thank you. Do you mind?
Terry, do you want Annette?
Oh.
Them to take it? Come on.
Okay, I'm grateful. Let me get on.
You need to get one of your things too?
Oh, thank you so much.
You're
Merry
welcome. Thank you.
Christmas.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You do.
All right. That brings us down to item number 6 under consent agenda. Miss Lisa, do we have anything under consent agenda? All right. Brings us down to old business, item number 7. Do we have anything in old business?
No.
All right. Now, that brings us down to new business, item number 8 under the animal shelter. I had brought this proposal that we had received from the group to a work session 2 weeks ago. And we're put it on the agenda today, hopefully to get to talk to the individuals that have put this proposal together. Is there anything you would like to say to the commissioners in regard to this proposal as we go forward?
Yes, please.
All right.
You want to? I don't know where the best place is for me to stand, but over there, okay?
Yeah, be fine.
And did you need to say anything, Will, or you want me to just go ahead?
First off, I would, like I say, thank the commissioners for giving us the time to discuss our proposal to the county for the privatization of the animal shelter. In the spirit of the American Humane Society that has done such a good job across our country, we want to do something in that same fashion for the citizens and animals of Pickens County. I've been fortunate to be involved with Dr. Chester's practice through my daughter the last 6 years. To see the good work that's done by this group. So, turn over to Dr. Chester.
Thank you.
Thank you, Will. And thank you, members of the commission. I'll try to make this kind of as brief as I can, but I thought one thing I would want to do this evening is to maybe address some questions that I know have already come up and kind of outline kind of our idea of how this would go forward. I left some spaces on your kind of outline in case you want to take some notes, put any more questions or anything like that on there that you may have. I think first of all, as it states, our mission statement at the top of the page, that we just consider a privilege and a duty to provide medical care and find suitable homes for all healthy and treatable pets in Pickens County. You know, my faith teaches me, and I firmly believe that men should be anxiously engaged in a good cause. And I just think this is a good cause, and it's where my talents lie. If I were a builder, I'd build houses for the homeless. If I had a restaurant, I'd feed hungry people. Just so happens this is what I do. So this is how I can be engaged in the community. And ever since I came here 15 years ago, that's what I've tried to do through my practice. I immediately got involved with animal rescue. I've done low-cost vaccination clinics. I do that once a month at the farmer's market while they're down there. I'm involved with the FFA kids at the high school and the middle school. I do all the blood testing for their animals, write their health certificates, do their health checks on a no-fee basis for free for them. Just a way to contribute to the community, which I think everybody ought to do. So in that spirit, I think privatizing the animal shelter is, number one, a more efficient way to run it, and secondly, a way to get more people involved from the community in their community. And that's what I feel is the most important part of our vision of this is community involvement coupled with veterinary oversight. You know, if you go and peruse around the internet to animal control and humane society places all over the country, one of their major complaints is that the person who knows the most about animal care doesn't get to make the decisions about the animal care in the shelters. And that is by in no means saying that the animal shelter has not done a stupendous job, because they have. I know since I've been working with them the last few years, since the county took it over, their euthanasia of animals has gone way down. It's way below the national average, and they do a great job at adopting out animals. But as good as anything is, it can always be better. And I just feel like having that veterinary oversight at the facility would just make it much better than it is right now. In addition to that, it just relieves the county of a responsibility that they just really don't need. The county's got the county government has a lot of stuff they need to do. They have a lot on their plate. And, you know, running an animal shelter is just not something that the county has to be involved in a real heavy basis. Animal control, that's a different story. In our proposal, we propose that the county remain active in the animal control part. We have no authority to do animal control anyway. And so they would continue to do that, but when animals were confiscated or picked up as strays or whatever, they would be turned over to the shelter. The county would be done with them, and then we would take over from there. Some of the advantages I think we have in our situation that's unique to help this process go a little smoother and to make the animal shelter as good as it can be is that the stability that we offer. I've been in Pickens County for 15 years. I hope I'm here at least 15 more, if not more than that. You know, somebody asked me one day at the office and they said, when are you going to retire? And I said, what's the point of retiring? I said, you quit your work to do something you like to do, but if you already like what you do, then what's the point? You just keep doing it. So that's how I feel about my job. And so I don't plan on going anywhere. I also like to kind of employ people that feel the same way we do. We've got Jessica back there who's about to graduate from vet school in about 16 months and is going to come work at the practice. I've got another young lady who's working at the practice right now who started her undergraduate work to go to vet school, who's going to be coming back to the practice. So we have a line of veterinarians lined up who feel the same vision that we do, who, even if I'm out of the picture, would continue this process with taking care of the animal shelter. Mr. Bell was saying not long ago to someone, he said, we're not looking at what we're going to do in the next 3 to 5 years. We're looking at what we're going to do over the next 30 years. And that's kind of our projection. What are we going to do for the long term? I think one of the things that kind of indicates our commitment to this adventure, as well as the fact that we are proposing to move our practice up to the current animal shelter building so that the animal shelter does not move, and are going to remodel part of that building at our own expense to be there, and we're going to be remodeling a building that we don't even own. So our commitment is to be there and to stay there, and we're willing to make that monetary investment as well as our time investment to carry this forward. As far as kind of the day-to-day operations of it, we really would like to involve a lot of community volunteers in this process. I don't know if any of you have looked at or gone on social media since this kind of got out last couple of weeks ago, but the positive support's been tremendous, and I feel like we have a lot of support in the community. I've had lots of people come to me and offer their support and help and, you know, whatever we can do sort of thing. Now, by putting more volunteers in there, I think that allows us to keep the shelter open longer hours of the day for people to drop off unwanted pets and for people to be able to look at and adopt pets. One of the huge time-consuming projects at the shelter is cleaning up after the animals and taking them for walks and just doing the maintenance that has to be done every morning. And when you got the employees busy doing that, they can't be out front, you know, talking to talking to people who want to adopt pets, etc. If we can get volunteers to cover that part, that frees up our employees to deal with the public and adopt out these animals. I'm thinking 9 to 5 Monday through Saturday. That's not in stone, and that may change a little bit, but that's kind of what I have as an idea. In addition to the animal control and animal shelter facility, excuse me, the animal shelter facility up behind the bargain barn, the county basically will be getting my facility for free, because I will keep my current facility and use it as a quarantine facility. Any animal that has contagious disease, rabies quarantine, vicious animal that needs to be quarantined would be taken to my facility, and I think there are a lot of advantages to that, not the least of which is that you lower the risk of contaminating the shelter animals with diseases that could be brought in. So we have a quarantine facility that's a separate facility than the building we'd be at animal control. As far as intake and adoption processes are concerned, I don't see them changing much from the way they are now. I think it's done really well. One of the main things that we certainly would keep is the PEP Point, which is a computer program that communicates our information with the county health department and the county facility, the county authorities. Because if an animal comes into our facility, there's a certain time period that it has to be there until we can adopt it out before we can do anything with it. And that database being communicated to the county gives us the go-ahead. They see that an animal has been there for a certain amount of time. They check it off. We have the go-ahead and adopt it out and communicate with them. So that computer program would still be in place, and we would still be using that. One thing that has been expressed too is the number of animals that we would take in. Certainly we would require proof of residence for anyone who just wanted to drop off an animal, and that would be a driver's license. I don't think there's a better form of identification as far as that process is concerned. As far as the budgeting is concerned, in the beginning when we're just taking over this adventure, we're have some time to get on our feet and get employees together, get our donor base started and everything. And we've asked the county for a little stipend on a per animal basis that gets dropped off. We are going to cap that so that we don't just take in animals at will and charge the county. And we would like to cap that on a per month basis so that we don't use up our annual budget, early in the year. The one thing I would ask is that if we do, or I would say is if we do cap a month, that any excess could be rolled over to the next month. The only reason being January, February, March really slow in the animal business, but June, July, August, and September is really busy. You can't spend the same amount of money in January as you do August. There has to be some rollover there to use that. We're also going to reduce the amount of money that the county gives us as a stipend every 6 months until it goes down to zero. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to take this responsibility off the county's table, not only for their time investment and the politics of it, but for their monetary investment as well. We don't want the county to fund this. We want to be able to do it through donor-based adoption fees, and if it comes to it, my own pocket. One of the reasons why I've even volunteered for this, I just feel like my business is at a point where I can afford to make up the difference if we have a shortfall one month or 2 months or whatever. I don't think that's something that's beyond our reach. As I've already mentioned, we will be having or maybe I didn't mention this, we will be having a nonprofit organization that runs the shelter facility, which will be a separate entity from my animal medical facility. They are going to be two separate things. Basically, we would bill the nonprofit just like we bill the county now for the animals that we take care of. So we want to keep this as clean of a division between these two entities as we can. And I don't know yet who would be on the board of this nonprofit. I've got a lot of options to consider. We've got a lot of people who have expressed an interest in doing that. We certainly want people from the community who share our vision and have some experience in nonprofit organizations to serve with us on the board. We have a lot of choices on who would do that. And the final thing I just want to mention quickly is the employees that are there currently. Any employee that works for the animal shelter now is free to stay if they want to. We obviously need employees when we get up there, and we can't take on the added responsibility of the animal shelter with just the employees that we've got at the medical facility. Plus, I want those two, again, entities separate anyway. I don't feel it's in our best interest to have my employees working at the animal shelter or the shelter employees coming over to the animal practice for no other reason than the biosecurity part of it. We just don't need the cross-contamination of the animals from the two separate facilities. I do feel like any employee that's currently employed at the shelter, if they want to stay, we would talk to them about their job description in about 90 days, do a interview with them, and make sure they still want to stay and see if they're doing their job up to performance, and then they're free to stay as long as they want. My two main employees that I have now have been with me for 14 years. When we get an employee, we tend to keep them, except for when we employ somebody like Jessica and send her off to vet school. We get rid of them, which we've done 4 times, by the way. We've sent four young people to vet school from the clinic who worked with us. One ended up getting an animal science degree instead of a veterinary degree, but including Jessica, we'll have 3 that did get veterinary degrees. One of them works at the CDC right now. So we're real proud of our young people that come work with us. I know it's kind of a side note, but I couldn't help but say how much we enjoy the high schoolers and college personnel that come to work with us. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anybody might have concerning the proposal.
What we'll do, Doc, start with you. I would like to go ahead and review this latest one, and with the other 2 commissioners sitting here, we will probably more than likely be in contact within the next few weeks, until Christmas season gets over.
Sure.
And we would probably like to. We can't meet unless we're in a formal setting, but
right.
But maybe me and you and Mr. Bell can get together. And if Ms. Denny and Mr. Barnes wants to put together some more notes, as well as the county attorney, because like I said, the devil's in the details.
Exactly.
And I don't see this happening tomorrow by no means, but
right.
we would like to discuss it further on to see exactly if we can pull this off. Maybe it's possible. Hopefully we can work something out. I think.
Well, I think so too. And like you said, the details are an important part. And, that's one of the things that we haven't really concentrated on right now in the process of just finding out if this was a feasible thing from the county standpoint. Once we kind of agree that this is something we might be able to work out between us, then I think the details can come forth then. And I'll be glad to work with any of you guys, of course, anytime you want to meet to discuss the details of the operation.
And of course, we'd have to discuss the animal control officer and sort of with the city of Jasper, or the animal control officer of Pickens County. Let Pickens County absorb that if that's your overall plan. Keep that in under our purview, which is probably going to the county marshal, working with you guys hand in hand with the animal control. But these are details we can work out in the near future.
Absolutely.
See what we can do.
Absolutely.
Ms. Denny, Mr. Barnes, have y'all got a question for Dr. Chester?
Not at this time. We just need to review it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time.
No, thank you very much. Appreciate it very much. All right. That brings us down to item number 9 under financial report. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Harvey. All right, Ms. Fay.
Okay, the finance report that you have for tonight is through the period ending November 30th of 2017, and that's 11 months of our fiscal year. So the expenditures should be 91.7% or less. On the revenue side, we collect through the end of November, we collected $20,880,348, and that is 81.77% of the budgeted amount. And I would like to say, of course, our largest line item on the revenue side is property taxes. We had a budgeted amount of $9,581,000 for this year, and through the end of November, we've collected $7,066,000 of that. So it's a good collection rate so far. Okay, on the expenditure side, for the general government functions, we have spent $2,902,184, and that's 83.89%. For the judicial functions, we've spent $2,920,368, and that's 80.83%. For public safety, the expenditures are $10,970,488, and that's 85.09%. For public works, expenditures through November are $2,682,649, and that's 83.08%. For the Health Department, Senior Center, and the MATS program, expenditures are $600,554, and that's 75.52%. For culture and recreation, the expenditures are $782,461, and that's 84.04%. For housing and development, the expenditures are $481,628, and that's 78.37%. Overall, the total expenditures on the general fund, for the general fund side are $21,340,331, and that's 83.57%, and that is it's a little over 8% under budget. So that's very much in line right now. For the enterprise funds, the water department expenditures through November are $1,854,460, and that's 86.5%. And for the airport, the expenditures are $323,247, and that's 81.55%.
All right.
The reports, line item reports went out to the department heads and the elected officials on December 11th, and I have a copy of all those reports if you would like to see them. Any questions?
Thank you, Faith.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us down to, let's see, I'm sorry, did y'all have any questions for Faith in regard to the budget? All right. That brings us down to item 10 under action items. Item A, approve the minutes. Number one, the regular board meeting we had on November 16, 2017. You all received a copy of that through email and a hard copy. Do y'all have any changes, anything you see to that? If not, can I get a move and second to approve those minutes?
Second.
I'm moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Take care of that. And then, of course, on December 7th, 2017, we had a work session going on there. The same, you should have received a email copy as well as a hard copy to that point. Did you notice any that we need to make any corrections? If not, now I can move in a second to go ahead and approve that.
So moved.
Second.
Moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Brings us down to item B under Rezone Request. Richard, do we have any rezone requests for this month?
No, sir.
Thank you, all right. Then, that brings us down to item C, the approved proposed fiscal year 2018 budget. Ms. Harvey has worked, she's had the open meetings, the budget has been laying on the table back there in the room. Do y'all have any questions on the, going ahead and starting to approve the proposed fiscal year budget for 2018?
I make a motion to approve it.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. Okay, your budget has been approved for the next fiscal year. Now that brings us down to item D, approval of the ambulance remount interest rate. as most of the public here knows, we try to keep it open. We try to replace two ambulances a year. Most of them are remounts. When the box has been remounted three times, we have to buy a whole new. We would rather buy a whole new ambulance. But anyway, this is in regard to the interest rate for the ambulance that we're working on now, or for the future two ambulances.
Actually, this is the two that.
Been waiting on.
Yeah, I gave you a packet of papers with their actual quote, the quote from Custom Truck and Body Works for the ambulance remounts. The date of that quote is April 24th. So Sloan has not taken delivery of the ambulances yet. They were supposed to be ready in December, but that's when I couldn't really get interest rate quotes for the capital leases until now. So the total for the capital lease is $218,490. And we have two quotes. One is from BB&T, and that interest rate is 2.94 for 36 months, 3.06 for 48 months. And I also have a quote from PNC Equipment Finance. Their lease rate is 3.74 for 3 years and 3.78 for 4 years. Right now, we've been working with BB&T for our capital leases. They are the financial institution that's approved through ACCG to do leases for us, and theirs is the lowest interest rate. And we normally do a 36-month lease for the ambulances.
So a 36-month on with BB&T would be 2.94%.
2.94, yes.
That's for both ambulances.
Yes.
All right.
And I'm not sure when Sloan is going to take delivery of them. I don't think they're finished yet, but they said mid-December. But if y'all could authorize the chairman to sign the paperwork for this lease so we can have it in place.
I need to
Probably after the beginning of the year.
What y'all's pleasure? Need to move a second to approve which loan you want to go with, either BB&T or the other one. I'm assuming you want to take the lowest interest rate. BB&T at 2.94 for a 3-year plan. I need a moving second to approve that, please.
Second.
Have moving second. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
And then I would request a move and a second to give me the authority to sign the paperwork when it comes in and the ambulances come in.
Second.
Have a move and second. Any further discussion? None being, all that favor, let know by saying aye. None opposed, thank you. Taken care of. All right, that brings us down to item E. And I'm hunting for it. All right, item E, which is the Big Canoe Water and Sewer Authority Act. This is an act that the homeowners of Big Canoe on the Pickens County and the Dawson County side would like to get to the legislature before the first of the year, to where they can have get an approval for their own authority for their water system. Only change. Let's see, what did I do with my copy? There's, thank you. That's here. Let me right here. The three, I can read this if you would please, and this will be going to the General Assembly, to the members of the General Assembly. It's a draft that will go to Rick Jaspers and his constituents. If y'all bear with me, I'll read it real quick. The Pickens County Board of Commissioners has been provided with the draft legislation which would create a water and sewer authority for Big Canoe community, which is situated partly in Pickens County. This legislation, in the form of a proposed local act of the Georgia General Assembly, was the subject of a presentation to this Board of Commissioners and has been considered by this board. It appears there's a substantial need for work on the existing utility systems in Big Canoe, specifically on the water distribution system, and for responsibility, maintenance, operation, and fiscal management of those utilities going into the future. As the governing authority of Pickens County, this board deems it to be in the best interest of the citizens of Pickens County and the public at large for the General Assembly to adopt a local act creating an authority which all the powers enumerated therein being do so. It is the board's considered opinion that the said utilities will be placed in the hands of the responsible stewards of the financial, public health, and general management of the water and sewer facilities. Accordingly, this board, upon motion duly made, seconded, and approved by unanimous vote at its regular public meeting on December 21st, 2017, does recommend and endorse the introduction and adoption of such legislation, and urges the local delegation representing Pickens County in the Georgia State Senate and House of Representatives to move the proposed local act forward into the legislative process for the 2018 session of the General Assembly. The chairman of Pickens County Board of Commissioners is authorized by said vote to sign this letter on behalf of the board and cause copies hereof to be forwarded to all appropriate persons. This was added today, this last sentence. This action is conditional upon the final legislation prohibiting Pickens County from incurring any debt whatsoever on behalf or for the benefit of this authority. Have y'all got any other questions on this as we talked? I need a move and a second to give me the authority to sign this and get it to our legislative process. Now, be it known that once this goes to the Georgia State Legislatures, they can change it as they will, as we have experienced in the past on different local legislations that we have set forth down there. Also, Dawson County is doing the same thing because Big Canoe is partly in Dawson County as well, partly in Pickens County. So I need if you would give me the authority to sign this and send it on to our local representatives, I ask for your vote.
So moved.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. All right, that has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. All right, that brings us down to item F under fire protection bids. Miss Connie is here somewhere. Did Connie come? There she is. She's there behind. Miss Connie has worked on this. We have been with the dilemma with these fire protection companies for months now, and with the help of Connie, along with the Sheriff's Department and all the other utilities here, and we've got Chris sitting back there. I'm just going to cut to the chase. Looks like Cliff Fire Extinguisher Company has come in as low bidder.
Yes, sir.
On this. They were lower than the next. Could you know off the top of your head what the next lowest bidder was?
It was by a couple thousand.
So they were a low bidder by a couple thousand.
Yes, sir.
Chris, Mr. Stansel, do you have any comment on that? I know you've worked with Chris Fire Extinguisher Company. I know they do all your blowdown systems.
And they've done an outstanding job with what they've done for the jail. So. And
one thing I had Miss Connie do to the fact that when we have problems with the overhead sprinklers, alarm systems, I just wanted one number to call. I did not want a half a dozen numbers, and they have agreed to abide by that. If they don't, we'll drop them like a rock and go some other route. But I don't have time to sit between the rec department, this building, the courthouse, the jail. We, as me and Chris and a few others, don't have time to call everybody in North Georgia to get something fixed. So we've finally got them down to one number to call. So that total bid package for the next coming year would be $8,256. I believe that's correct.
Yes,
and that's for this building here, courthouse, rec center, the jail, the road department, the fire stations that are on Pickens County's purview, and am I missing something? No, I don't think they do. No, that's under the state. The state does that building. That's all I can think of. But the whole total package, we're saving $2,000 by going to Cliff, and I can't remember what the other company was, Gallagher, I believe, or maybe it wasn't Gallagher, maybe it was some other. Centis. Thank you. So I need an approval to go ahead with this bid here to go ahead and get this locked down for the next year.
Second.
Have a move and second. Any further discussion? None being, all that favor, let by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That has been approved. All right. We've under items G, H, I, J, K, and L. These are resolutions approving the appointments for individuals on this, and I'm going to read them real quick. G is the resolution for the Planning Commission in the 4-year terms. It's Jim Fowler and Pat Holmes. H is a resolution for the Board of Tax Assessors for 5-year terms. That's Nelson Mattern and Freda Trammel. I is a resolution for the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term, which is W.A. Meaders, Don Martin, Ron Barnes, Bill Cagle, and Bart Conley. And I know Bart's sitting back here in the back, and he can step outside if he wants to see the vote. J is a resolution for the Pickens Gilmer Joint Development Authority for a 4-year term, which is Mr. Todd Payne and Jerry Neckvertall. K K is a resolution for Pickens Bartow Joint Development Authority for a 6-year term. That is Lori Shaw and John Poole. And L is a resolution for the Pickens County Development Authority for a 6-year term, which is Bob Payne. I know you've all reviewed all these individuals and seen it. Is there any changes you would like for us to make on all these, any of these or all these appointments? Are these names satisfactory with y'all? Okay, I have been, the county attorney said we could do this under one vote instead of having to read each and every one of these. So if I would, I'd like to have an approval to accept G through L under one vote for approval of these individuals to sit on these particular boards.
Second.
Moving to second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor say aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That has been done. Thank you very much. All right. Now, item M is approval of fiscal agent for Family Connection. Ms. Harvey has been the fiscal agent for Family Connection for quite some time. We need that renewed for another year. May I get an approval for that?
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? None being, all that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. And then that brings us down to item N, the appointment of the public defender. Mr. Landon, you want to talk on that one?
As y'all are aware, the county has responsibility to provide indigent representation in juvenile court. And how we have handled that in our circuit is each county appoints one attorney to handle that and pays that attorney's salary and pays for a few minor office equipment like a laptop and a cell phone and office space. And then there's a conflict attorney that is also hired, a fourth attorney. All four of these attorneys work in all three counties. So just even though we're hiring, you will be hiring this attorney, if you agree with this, and paying his salary, this attorney will also work in Gilmer and Fannin, just like the attorneys at Gilmer and Fannin hire will also work in Pickens County. And the problem you run into at juvenile court is if you have a situation that has 3 or 4 kids, each of those children, there's a great chance that each of those children will be entitled to individual representation, and you can have conflict of interest there. That's why we have to have kind of a traveling group there. The other reason is just the sheer volume of caseload that court deals with. It would stagger you to go through that. They do a great job with what they have. The attorney that we have been using has moved from the circuit and will no longer be able to do it. And Glenna Stone is an attorney. She's retired from the Court of Appeals, I believe, and has been working in the court system here. I have not had the privilege of working with her, but those that have speak very highly of her, of her work ethic and of her abilities. And I think that she would be a fine addition to the other attorneys that do. They really do a good job in this forum. So with that in mind, I would ask that, and I have been in discussion with parties involved with juvenile court now. So with that in mind, I would ask if y'all would approve Glenna Stone as your appointee to represent indigents in juvenile court.
Second.
Have a move and a second. Any further discussion? I've got one question. Ms. Harvey, the appointment of this public defender, we had put in the budget for this, correct?
Yes.
So none of the numbers have changed in the budget as we go forward.
There was one thing.
Well,
Bill, did you say office space? Because
just assigning something in the courthouse.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I think we've done that before in the other county courthouses.
Okay. I know the salary and benefits were budgeted, and also the anything going to the computer, whatever she'll need to do.
I see what you're asking. No, not rent. You're not also paying rental for a private building. It's just housing in the courthouse.
Okay. All right.
Yes, that is in the 2018 budget.
All right. Any further questions from Ms. Harvey or Mr. Lander? All right, have a move and a second. No further discussion. All that in favor, let know by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed, thank you. That has been approved, Mr. Phil. All right, that brings us down to item number 11 under guests and comments. I'm now going to open up to the floor to to comments from the guests. Please keep it to 3 minutes if you can. Yes, ma'am.
My question is, if you said the animal control go to Jim Harvey, is that where I would go work under Jim Harvey, or would he take it over?
We don't know yet. All this is, we're just now getting into the process of discussing this. This could be on down. I'm saying that you would, if the county would keep animal control, and I think that's what we're going to have to do for legal purposes under magistrate court and all that to go through, you would have to probably work under Jim Harvey. So, yes, at that point. Yes, Bart?
I have another question. If this proposal would go forward, and this is basically for the doctor, would you see a need to increase the size over there if you're moving you're going to be moving over there too? Would there be a need at some point to increase the size of that building?
If you don't mind, can you ask him that question after the meeting? Because you're supposed to be directing questions to us.
I'll direct it to you. If this would go forward, do you see a need that the building would have to be increased? You know, the county's still going to own the building?
The county will still own the building to that. What we'd do is we would, if this was to go through, we would sublease it or lease it to an individual. We could not sell the building unless we put it out for public auction.
Yeah.
But if I understand it right, I think they need a petition built early on. Is that what y'all? And rather than enlarging it, I think they just need some minor things.
Yes, in division walls, I believe is what you got put in that. Yes, sir.
Yeah, to get a little clarification for the commissioners, the structure, the way we're talking about doing it would be from a biological and infection standpoint, would be basically the center line of the existing facility. The north end of that would be for animal medical. The entrance would be there. The animal holding areas would be utilized that way. The south end of the building would continue to be the animal shelter facility with its own set of cages that way. There'll be two separate entrances, two separate heat and air systems, so there's no cross-contamination there. But at this point, based on our conversations and animals that have been coming through, don't see a need to increase square footage on the existing building. It'll be a matter of getting animals in, having adoption people lined up and getting back out the door.
Yeah, I think the original occupancy of that was what, $30 and 30 cats at the beginning, and then it expanded just a little, not much, but I believe it did expand just a little bit. Don't both y'all work for? Yeah, I thought you. And so that's where we're going with that. All right, thanks, Bart. Yes, sir.
I would like to publicly support this movement. It's very clear, being a citizen, seeing what Dr. Chester can do and his staff. My only comment would be two things. Number one, we want to do what's best for the employees that already work for the county.
Sure.
We want to make sure and ensure that these folks are taken care of, whether they stay or whether they're taken somewhere else differently. We want to make sure that they're in good shape. And then secondly, of course, do what's best for the animals. And in regards to that, I truly believe Dr. Chester has exactly what they need.
Yeah, and our intent would be the employees to be protected first, as long with the animals too. That's the biggest thing, the employees. Thank you. Yeah, well,
I'm going to change the topic real quickly, and I'd love to talk before Bart, but I've never been quick enough. It's the end of the year, and what I'm going to do is thank all of our customers that have come here throughout this year. We have noticed they have been very, very gracious this year. Working with all the people that are sitting here in this room, we've probably been the most cohesive unit that I've seen in years. It's paying off with the public. And I just wanted to thank everybody, and especially the people that took time to come by and brag on our staffs and compliment them. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas.
any other comments? Bart, you again?
Yeah, my second question, I'm allowed to. On the ambulances, the two that you're getting done, you plan on next year having 2 more done?
That's correct. These 2 that we're getting done now should have been done already.
Yeah, is there a reason, that's my question, is there a reason why it's taking so long? Will we find out? I know it's a long process, but this is
the issue that we have, and all companies are having, is there's not that many. We went through the Depression back in 2008, so there's quite a few companies went out of business during that time, so there's about 3 left that does ambulances. And so it's difficult to get them in there. We just try to run it on cycle at 2 at a time and phase them out, because we run 4 to 6 ambulances here in Pickens County that we actually hold on to.
Yeah.
So, and we have stepped up the notch to the fact that ours are 4-wheel drive units on account of who knows what we're going to run into as the year goes along. But to that point, there is about 3 companies, last count I had, there were about 3 companies left. We put it out for bids for them, it takes a while to get the bids back, but they should have already had these 2 done. So that's where it's at, but there will be,
Well, I believe there was a problem getting the chassis.
yeah, and then we had, yeah,
They were delayed for 3 or 4 months.
that's correct. We did have a problem with chassis. So
Well, hope it works a little better next year.
we can, if you would go back up to Detroit or wherever they make the frame off restorations, we'd be tickled to death. Straighten them out. Yes, sir.
Under the consolidation with fire and rescue, are these 2 the new design with the new logo on them?
Yes.
The black and white? Okay.
Yes. That is correct.
Wonderful.
Any further comments or questions? Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm Mike Flynn. A lot of people here know me. We provide a service in Pickens County that a lot of people are not aware of yet. We take in farm animal rescues through Pickens County, and we also service a lot of other counties. Well, what I wanted to say is Dr. Chester has stepped up many times and come out there on several calls and never even charged us. I mean, because he understands what we're doing for the county. I used to work for the sheriff's office and I retired, and one of the biggest problems we had is we'd get a call with a farm animal, but we had nowhere to take them. So now that I'm retired, we opened up our farm, and if the county gets an issue or they have a farm animal, I go straight out and pick it up and take it back to the farm. And then Dr. Chester, he'll come out there and he'll give it medicine. If it's got a broke leg, whatever it needs, he's always come out there and took care of it. And he doesn't charge us because he's like, well, you're all helping the county. So I just want to make y'all aware of that.
No, thank you very much. We do appreciate what you do for Pickens County and the animals that are up. Thank you. Any more questions or comments? Bart, you got another one?
There's a gentleman back there, that lady.
I'm just here to support Dr. Chester too. I think he'd do an excellent job for the county, and I hope you all consider him. He's a good person. He's good with animals.
Thank you.
And I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Bart.
I'm allowed a third saying, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody.
Do that. Have a Merry Christmas, and hopefully we have a blessed New Year as we go forward. Maybe things will kind of level out. Dr. Chester, thank you again for your presentation tonight. It's very well appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all have a great holiday. One other statement I want to make. The recycling area is closed Friday at lunch, Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday.
It was in the paper today.
It was in the paper. So if anybody had any questions, call Mr. Barnes at 1. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you all.